All right, let's do this. I think we're live. No, our captioning wasn't working because I didn't click start captioning. So I'm probably going to be coughing today. It's going to be annoying as shit. Where did this screen go? There it is. Love it when what are we looking at here? Judge Judy Slayer, thank you for the follow. How are you doing this fine day? So we were working on Dungeon of the Dead 3 last week. And we'll take a look again at what we've got so far. And I think what we'll end up doing, we're going to work on the outside because we've got to do these gardens. I might do something as far as dropping some stuff on this fountain to make it look a little bit better. So we're not really thrilled with that, but I think we can make it look better. I know we need some plants along this wall and over here. There's not a lot of stuff to put inside. Most of it's going to be people in there in the baths that I wish we could flood. And then if we look, there's stairs over there that go down to that dungeon down below that's flooded to like, I think it's 2 feet. So we've got the water there. Now the next thing we might also do, because we have this exterior building, and because that dungeon below was pretty big, we wanted it all enclosed. We might add a building or two around here, and you know, some cobblestone for the streets, some lights, and you know, just some other random stuff, so it's not just a building sitting in the middle of nowhere. So we've got some stuff to do here. And this one, I tell you what, when we add the buildings, we're just going to put the outside facades. We're not going to put anything inside of it. There's no reason for them to be going inside our fake building. So that's how we're going to keep it. Account created 7 hours ago for Judge Judy Slayer, so it's probably another IP logger. And they're just doing follow-unfollow shit. And that's become the norm here on Twitch, let's face it. Jackass accounts, you know, coming in and doing silly stuff. But I guess, you know, jackasses got to be jackasses. It's just the way it is. All right. So I need to pull up my reference map. I can't be sitting behind anything or it won't work. We also started messing with, let's back out of this. And we're going to decorate this map. But I built out. Oh wow, dead curate. Fix that. And let's fix this real quick. That's awesome. So we started working. This was more messing with something rather than actually building something out. I'm going to get rid of something on here today. Let's get rid of that. So I wanted to do, come on. So Lost Mines of Phandelver has, I mean, the first thing that you do, take a wagon, go down the road, and there's an ambush. So I set up a base map here, and we'll end up doing some stuff to make this look better. But I'm going to start building with these maps enclosed in a box because stuff like this, if we're going to, because the description of this is there's an ambush on the road, a lot of rocks, a lot of trees, stuff like that. You know, you can't come in and just, I mean, you can, but it'll look like crap, if you know what I mean. So, I mean, what we're planning to do with this is build up some rock outcroppings. You know, someplace we can put some miniatures up there for the ambush. Um, I don't know if we'll use our rocks so they're colored like this or what, but what I'm looking at is the fact that you're going to want to, you know, kind of get this stuff so that it looks good, even though you've only got several assets to build it with. Um, and a lot of that will involve, you know, being able to turn, bury, and everything else. So, you know, if we're able to bury these things, it makes the assets, you know, we can set this up so we have a base to start, and it'll make it look like we're working with more than one or two assets here. Um, and that's how you can get a little more creative creating this stuff. So we're gonna work on building that out. Not today, but like I said, the main reason that I wanted to build this and box it is so these assets aren't able to be seen below the map. Um, and this doesn't have to be a big map. It's just some goblins attacking. They find some dead horses. Bam, done. They fight and they move on. So, you know, we'll get a little creative with this, see what we can do, and work on that. But let's get back to that map we spent a couple days on last week. And some of these, I mean, these are maps we're experimenting with to see, how our 2D maps are going to transfer over to something like this. But at this point, let's see, this is all miscellaneous stuff. We're still getting familiar with all the assets too. Now, I tell you what, once they really start adding more assets in, it's going to be like, oh man, where are those assets? Where's this one? Where's that one? We did find something, tell you what, figured out something this weekend. If you right click and then left click, it adjusts the grid to, where you want to build. So that was a nice find this weekend. All right, so we need nature, plants. Be nice if we had some other bush alternatives. Is that? It's a water lily. So it's not what we're looking for. Not looking for Apollo. Bleh. Man, we are just bleh. Talking like tongue-tied this morning. Plants are here that we can drop in there. It starts here, right? What is this? I kind of want this to just have a little bit of stuff sticking up here. Oh, no vines. And we might put some vines, just not. It'd be really nice if we had a few more rotational options, rather than just on the 2D plane like here. As well as resizing. If we can get this to come up. Kind of like that. Are they interfering with each other there? Can't really tell. That's fine. All right, what else do we want to do here? So I'm thinking, let's see. Thinking we'll put some greenery across here as well. Same thing, bury it a little bit. I'll square that off nicely right there. All right. And we just saw a plant that we kind of liked. See if we can make this work. I want to lose this wall right here without losing the plant. There we go. Make that work. That doesn't want to work well there. That's fine. What the hell happened? Oh, bet I know. Watch. It went and then it went away. So try to... Ooh, can we get this to work? Not by itself, we can't. There's just that subtle little difference there. All right, so there's our little garden zone. Let's take a look. I'm going to pull the source book up. Ten-foot tall walls. So courtyard. Trimmed lawn, nicely manicured shrubbery. Yard is decorated with. We don't have white marble benches. Um, we didn't have. We have a fountain, which comes in quarters, and you got to put it down, and the thing's really big. Um, all right, so the chamber frescoes we don't have. Bathing royalty, natural light streams through stained glass windows, creating colorful patterns. Don't have that. Polished blue marble, cover the floor. Three shallow sunken pools contain scintillating, perfumed, scented water. We don't really have that either. So I guess what we'll do, I want to find some small crystals, right? And you see how that kind of gives off light? I am wondering if we sink these into the floor, is that going to generate some light for us? I mean, we could do little void spaces and it would do the same thing, but it's not really what we want to do. What about... There's really... That's not going to do it. So, I mean, we could kind of do this, right? Have it underneath the floor. That'll give a little bit of a glow in here. That kind of gives a little bit of a hint of the lighting that they talk about. And then, let's see, do they have other crystal colors? So we've got that. Do we have little tiny, smaller ones? Got the big one there. The big one. So I guess what we'll do is just leave it like that. And that gives us some indication of, that lighting coming in through the windows. So let's just take the grid off, see what this all looks like. So it does kind of light the room. See, at least those are embedded in there, so that works. This room, I think the masseuse room's what we're going to do here. Is add some actual lighting. So do we want the candles? Do we want, what is this? Ooh. Ooh. Wonder what this does when we put it down on the floor. Oh, it's fire, so that's not going to work. Torch. Torch. I like that better than throwing a candle in the room, let's be honest. So we'll put 2 of those in there. Two of those in there. Couple those by the door. And that gives us our lighting. And I don't want to overlight it either. So let's... Where's our ambience? Atmosphere. See, if they come in at night, it'll still be kind of eerie with those things underneath. What else can we put in here that would light it better? Let's take a look at this. I don't know. Let's compare the two. So we've got that, and we have that. What do we like better? I think this gives off more light. So I think for a creepy cultist's house, that's good creepy cultist lighting. I'm just curious how much of that is leaking out of there, huh? A little bit, but that's good. What is this gonna do? Can't really look up, can we? Curious what's going on with that roof. Right there. It's like we touched it last, so it's sticking up in the air. So I think the lighting is the only thing we really need in here. We've got the tubs all made. I'm curious how these are going to interact with what we have down below. I mean, honestly, once I get down here and that stuff's lifted up, it's not really going to do anything. And we're really going to have to go in and mess with hide volumes and, things like that. We haven't really played with hide volumes. Tell you what, I almost feel like we'd be better off taking this stuff off and putting permanent hide volumes in there. So, I mean, because as you move, see how it does where it's trying to do some weird shit there? What happened here? So let's mess with the hide volume. So how do we do that? This is the first time trying to figure out hide volumes. And I don't really want to look it up. We're going to figure it out. So there's our build light. Let's get rid of the water. Rulers, cut box. All right. Okay. So we do tab. Gets us into GM tools. All right, so what we want is to hide this volume, right? So we go like that. And we don't want to do that because that gets rid of those walls. So maybe what we want to do, because these with the overlaps are not going to work, it's going to create some strange shit. You know, we were kind of thinking, oh, let's go ahead and put that on there and it'll close those little zones out, but it's creating this this weird, you know, when you're moving effect like that where the things are trying to pop through. So yeah, I think that is a minor failure right there. So we're going to pull all those off. I don't like how it does that little flicker. I mean, the only thing we could have done was make all the walls so that they were equal height levels here, but that doesn't work because of the stairs. So it's which one has more problems when you're looking at it. And I don't know, for me, the problem with that flickering wall is a little bit worse. Let's turn the grid off. And I think when it's doing that, that's probably going to create rendering issues too. And we don't want that. Let's see, how many more enclosed spaces did we do for that? And I think we got a little bit lazy. We decided to do that instead of, you know, putting our floor in where it should go. I wanted to close that in. Even though it's technically not like interior dungeon. All that stuff outside, I want it closed in. All right, let's drop a miniature down here, and then we're going to flood it again. So it's supposed to be flooded to 2 feet. This dwarf's probably like 4 feet tall. I'm going to do it to the second step. Right about there. I keep getting it so close. There it is. So, I mean, if you're a dwarf or a halfling, you're kind of fucked if you're in a flooded zone. It's just the way it is. See how bad the halfling's going to have it. I mean, everybody's going to be moving at half speed. Nothing you can do about it. Room D5. Welcome to the dungeon. Dungeon's Carter's room, staircases hewn from limestone, unlit, unless the text states otherwise. Empty, unlit, and flooded with foul-smelling water to a depth of 2 feet. So water is our decoration in that room. I like that. D6. We need our reference map. Excuse me. All right, so back to our reference map. This entire zone down into here is D5. Just flooded, nothing there. There is a secret door here. My party would never find it. Let's get rid of the stuff from the bathhouse. So they'll come down here. They go around to the steps that go up to the next little zone. That takes us down to D9, which on the map is like a triangular room. We're not doing that because we don't have angled walls. And that's fine. You know what? We'll live with that. I mean, if we're being honest, and this is one of the little things that kind of bothers me. The crack in the wall there. And I feel like if I keep adding assets to cover every last little crack, that it's going to create a lot of problems. I'll put it in the corners But the little gap down there between the floor and down, they're just going to see some water at this point. So 9. The dead 3 doors. So I need 1, 2, 3 doors. So let's do that. What kind of doors do we want this time? Kind of evil looking doors is what it kind of indicates, but oh, that's like a double door, isn't it? It's a 1x2. I need a single door that kind of looks like that. But that's not a thing. We don't need a knocker. So we'll go 1, 2, and 3. There's our 3 doors. We'll describe the doors using our words. That is how we like to do it. So we have our 3 doors there. D9 goes down to this little area. Let's look at D7. Now this is where we're going to have to do some decorative features. And hopefully we'll be able to put in what we kind of want to put in. Household. Grim. I think that's what we need. Could be wrong. I'm not wrong. So we kind of need this altar, right? Let's get our grid on there. So the altar, we're going to want facing this way. And then we're going to want to push that in here. Like that. Tell you what. So that'll be our altar. Just make sure it didn't go into another room over here or another hallway. So I don't care about that. In fact, so that's still going to do what we don't want it to do. So that's fine. That's our altar. And we need... And this is where it's not really planned out well for the size of the room. 3 wooden beams brace the ceiling of this flooded chamber. Features a stone altar covered with entrails. I don't think we have entrails. We'll see what we can find. Looking for entrails in all the wrong places, right? Dungeon. Ladders, lights, miscellaneous interior. I mean, I guess we could do this. No. Let's do it this way. Pillar. How much room is that going to take up? So what do we need? We need 1, 2, 3. So that's braced up. Does line up with the top of the wall, so that's good. Now, I am going to guess. Let's get rid of pillars. Say the executioner's thing is the only thing that's going to have blood. Nature. Are entrails found in nature? Cavern. Seeing like there's other stuff we can do as we get in here. There's some maybe roots and stuff in the wall. Make it a little more interesting, but we're not going to worry about that right now. D6, bloated corpse. I guarantee you there is not a corpse in here. See, instead it pulls up copper. What about dead? Dead tree. Oh, what's this? What is that? So we're going to use this because it is a corpse. It's just not bloated. And it'll be under the water. That works. Next room would be D10. Necromite's room. Creatures here watch area D9 through a crack in the door. Lying on the floor of this otherwise empty room are the pale bodies of 3 humans in filthy black robes arranged in a triangular formation. A lit torch lies between them. A rough-hewn staircase to the left leads down. So we will need a torch. So we would need like dead guy, dead guy, dead guy. Sorry about that. It says they're in robes, and I know we have a robed dude. A giant gnome, goblin, half demon, half orc, halfling, human. Humanoid, orc, undead. Tooth, really. Torch. So we'll throw the torch there. And I'm just going to have to do it this way. So we'd have what? 1, 2, 3. And then 1, 2, 3. So we'd have those 3 dudes standing there looking like that. The torch in between. They're going to come in. This room's small for the combat you're going to have too. And then let's look at what's down here. D11. So there should be a sarcophagus down there. So we're going to put it here. And then we need to throw some rubble on it. Cavern, root, snow, ocean, rock. Miscellaneous interior. I know we've seen some collapsed stuff. Like that. Nerd Central, how's it going? Thank you for the raid. Saw you were in there doing some building today, I guess for some encounters. How's that going? Just finished up. Unique minis weren't being dropped in. What do you mean? Were you trying to bring in stuff from, what is it, Hero Forge or something like that? Using one of the mods? Oh, so what, some of these things weren't dropping in? Like, drop this dude in and he's not dropping? Oh, okay. That's not a good thing. That sounds like a little bit of an annoying glitch there, if I may say so myself. This ended up being a bigger endeavor than I anticipated, I'll admit that. And we're going to end up having to build out a little more on this. I could have done it at 2 levels, and I didn't want to. So it's my fault. But I think by the time it's done, it'll look nice and be playable, even if it is a little claustrophobic. Oh, what did they do overnight? Probably just normal programming stuff and things got boogered up a little bit. Yeah. A lot of times it's like that little that back end server stuff will come back and bite you in the ass. I know the other day, I haven't touched this since Saturday, but Saturday when I came in here, I kept getting connecting and then it would disconnect, connecting, disconnect. So I didn't even mess with this weekend. And, you know, it is what it is. I mean, even with something that I consider established, like Foundry, all it takes is one little freaking update, and I've had entire servers crash and have to rebuild them. You know, repopulate, because I'll repopulate the entire map. So it's ready to be played when my players come in. And I've had my entire game crash. I do backups and store them here locally, but man, some of that is catastrophic when it takes your whole game down. All right, so let's see what's in D12. Uh, unless the characters take special care to approach quietly, which they won't, they never do, without light sources. They always have light sources. They alert the room's occupants. My Wednesday game has a halfling that pays the light tax, and I think he's the only character in the game that pays the light tax. But, you know, they go through a dungeon, and you've got this light dome approaching. You know, the people with dark vision, they see that light dome, but you don't see them. It's just like, here we are, a beacon of light. So, you know, they stopped even asking, do we surprise them? I'm like, is your halfling going to play blind? No, we don't surprise them. Okay. You know, there's just no way to surprise somebody when you have players paying the light tax. It was funny because I was kind of thinking today, I used to have, oh my God, when we played in person, there was this one guy who was annoying as hell. He, he would buy thieves' tools and, you know, wouldn't take a background that gave proficiency in thieves' tools, wouldn't be a rogue, but he would think because he bought thieves' tools that he should be able to pick a lock. And, you know, if they don't have either one of those, I don't generally give them the chance to do it. And the way that I drove it home to him is I had a padlock and a lockpick set in my DM's bag. And, you know, I always carried a lockpick set. I still do. Just in case. Not for criminal purposes, but I have used it to help somebody get in their house and stuff. Just like I carry a Slim Jim and other stuff in my car, right? See, I don't, and this is why. I handed him a padlock and the lockpick set. And this is how I handle it in person. I say, if you unlock it, your character unlocks it. And he fiddled with it for like 5 minutes. He said it's impossible. Handed it to me. I went click and opened it. And I said, there you go. Difference between proficiency and not being proficient. And we moved on. And he let the rogue, which they had a rogue in the group, which really pisses me off. He would always jump in and want to pick the lock. And I'm like, let the rogue do their job. And he stopped after that. Because I said, until you can pick that lock, when I hand you a set of picks and a lock, and it was a master lock is a simple lock. It's so easy to pick. You know, you should never use master locks to lock your gates or anything with an outward lock, because anybody knows how to use a pick set, they're getting in. So don't use it. But that settled it when I said, if you can pick it, your character can pick it, because neither of you have proficiency. He couldn't do it, and he let the rogue do his job. That's something that really annoys me in the game, when a character, you know, and it's always the rogue gets picked on, because somebody thinks it would be cool to pick locks even though they're not proficient. You know, buying the tools doesn't do anything. And I'm like, let them do their job, because they don't get to do that much shit a lot of times. And, you know, See, I always give the rogue a lower DC, and then some locks will even, if it's depending on what you're trying to get into, I will mentally assign what the DC is to unlock. And, non-proficient characters, I don't even give a chance. That rogue's going to have to do it. But I've always been of the mindset, let the characters that are built to do certain things do it, and don't let other characters try to step on their skill set. And you got to admit, like the rogue in the group, they have a skill set that for some reason everybody thinks they should be able to do. Now, nobody in the group pretends that they can heal somebody or cast a healing spell and jump and step on their shoes. So I look at it like you're stepping on the skill set of another player at the table, and you need to let them do their job. You're not going to turn to the fighter and say, heal me, because they can't. So let the rogue do their stupid things they can do, like pick a lock and take care of a trap and stuff like that. Let them do it. And that's how I always settle it. I'm just like, you know what? If you can do it, then your character can do it. Nobody's ever met the challenge and passed it. One of these days, I'll probably sit at a table, do that, and somebody will be able to pick it. I'll be like, okay, your character can pick it. He just did. You don't even have to roll. You just did it. But you know what I mean? When you play in person and you've got that person that rolled the rogue and you've got the douchebag at the table that always wants to do what that other character is there to do, you can almost see the look in the player's face. And I've had some that had enough gumption to say, it's my fucking job, just let me do it. And, instead of this person who wants to be like center of attention and do everything, even though their character can't do it. And even if I'm playing at a table, I admit I'll go in. I am the kind of player who'll be like, just let them do it. How they're supposed to be played. I've just run into a lot of players, and it's probably because I've run public play events for years, and COVID alleviated me of my pain of running public play events. I'll put it that way. Wednesdays, a pacifist barbarian. Oh man, there was oh God, what is it? In Pathfinder, there's like a Redeemer class, and your background is you were a flaming piece of shit, and you figure since you can be redeemed, everybody can be redeemed. And I would always go in and be like, no, I can't kill these guys because they can be redeemed just like me, and I wouldn't murder anybody, and you know, it was kind of hilarious because my group was just so frustrated because now I wouldn't play like a lawful stupid paladin, where I'm like, since I won't do it, you can't do it. I hate players that do that. Um, but you know, I wouldn't go in and just kill the shit out of things. And it drove the people I played with crazy because they're like, just kill it. I'm like, they can be redeemed. I can't do that. It was freaking hilarious. A pacifist barbarian. I tell you, the biggest issue I run into has always been murder freaking hobos. Funny story. And murder hoboing can start at a very young age. But we were running Baldur's Gate back when 5e was still in playtest mode, right? But we were still running public play events. And Baldur's Gate was one of these things that was, I don't know if you were familiar with encounters and stuff like that back in the day, but we would get the modules for free and we would run those. So I had one that I would be able to give to everybody at the table. You know, Wizards would literally send these adventures out for free. So we're playing Baldur's Gate, and this little girl, my daughter was, I guess, like 9 or 10 years old, right? And this little girl sits down, and she's like, "Oh, there's a kid my age." Her dad sits down at the table. They played with us for like 6 weeks, right? And I generally discourage murder hoboism and, doing things that, since it's a public play event, you don't want people at the table behind you hearing being said. And I've thrown out so many people from public play events for things that, should never be said, even in a private setting. But, this kid's sitting there after about 6 weeks, and they come to this room, and, they kill the guys in there. And at the end, I'm like, okay, what do you guys want to do? And this 9-year-old girl says, "I cut his head off and I nail it to the door." Her father was like, it was just like this look of horror and shock all at the same time. My daughter just starts laughing, and I'm just like, okay, and I said, okay, but please don't do that again in the future, because I'm not going to yell at a little kid. And but they never came back. The father was just mortified that his daughter's like, "I cut his head off and I spike it to the door." And I'm like, yeah, so that's a future murder hobo right there. It was awesome. But yeah, some of the stuff I've run across, the kids always, the girl would have been a perfect barbarian, but at 9 you don't expect a kid to be like, "I peg the head to the door," you know what I mean? I mean, it was like awesome and excruciatingly violent all at the same time, and it's like, I wonder if her dad ever let her play D&D again. We never saw her, and I never encouraged that kind of stuff. I mean, the week before, I threw somebody out that was sitting behind us and I never allowed them to come back, um, because they're sitting there and they started to role play an autoerotic asphyxiation fantasy. Hold on a second. "Daughter, can you come and pick me up?" Like, "I'll pick you up in like 20 minutes or more." It's the only downside of not letting your kid drive, but she's not excessively responsible, so I can't let that on the road. You know what I mean? I'd be a really bad dad to put other people at risk just so that I didn't have to pick my kid up. I'm curious. So this is supposed to be an altar. Now, see, there's only like one altar in this. I guess I could throw one together, but Oh, but like I was saying, like the week before, I threw a guy out because, he decides to role play in a public setting an autoerotic asphyxiation fantasy. And I mean, that shit pissed me off. And especially when I'm sitting there and listening to it with kids at the table. That's going to be our altar right there. That works. And, it, I, oh my God. It's been awesome not going and running these things on Wednesday for the last year. I mean, with the people that would come there, I knew nobody would mask. Half the people probably won't get vaccinated because they're fucking stupid, and it's just not worth the risk. You moved your game to Friday, but every week I would, and I don't suffer anxiety or anything like that, but I would just be pissed off that I was going knowing that I was going to have to deal with somebody who shouldn't be allowed out in public. So I will probably never go back and run that again. And I had 20 tables with 20 DMs that I had brought in to run the 20 tables, and like 170 players a week. And I'll never go back because I just won't deal with the stupidity. I mean, when I had to throw somebody out that was my age for saying to some 20-year-old girl he wishes he was in the human centipede so he could be sewed to her ass. That was an instant ejection. The second that somebody came over and said, "This guy just said that," I took him aside and he's lucky I didn't fucking beat the shit out of him. I mean, if he would have said that to my daughter, that would have been a really bad scene. Would have been really bad. I'm gonna straight up admit it. So what is 13 gonna have? So we need to wreck the back half of this room. It'd be awesome if they had like wrecked up walls. I mean, I know what the Castle Ruins has some stuff that looks kind of messed up. Is there anything really good that we could pull in to make it easier on us? Or do I just want to throw some freaking rocks in here? Cavern. Miscellaneous exterior. That's our rocks, right? No, it's not. It's nature. So that's just no. So Nerd Central. Do you mod your game at all? Or your builds, or you just run it straight up vanilla the way it's made? I'm curious. It says hold back. It's got to jut back a little bit there, be broken down, come around this way, do that. Let's turn our grid off. Traps and treasure. I mean, I'm not talking like rules as written. I mean, in this, I'm curious if he's running any mods for building and importing, or if he's just running straight up. I think he bailed. So I know I don't think you haven't picked this up yet, have you, Tal? I mean, right now I'm pretty happy with the purchase, and I may eventually I'm gonna block out what needs to be blocked out here. I may eventually run a game with it just to see how it goes. And I admit I probably won't use other people's assets, so that means I'm going to end up, having to take the time to get all the assets, rooms, stuff like that built out. Um, yeah, I can run that over there. So that's all empty space. Same thing there. I'm interested to see how easy or not it'll be to run on this. I know my players, like I said, I showed them the tavern after I built it, and they were like, "That's freaking awesome!" But with all the Mac users that we have, we've got two Mac users. This isn't Mac friendly. Um, I've got to take everybody into account, to be able to make it work. So that pile works there. I'm not going to take it all the way up. That. All right. I think that's how we're going to leave that. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely going to miss the automation. Um, I mean, it's something that if you run something like Foundry, you've definitely gotten used to the convenience of having all those things automated. I mean, you've got, what, Beyond the Spire that lets you bring your character sheets and stuff in. I mean, if you really wanted to, you could just let your players roll dice and trust them. There we go. That looks more like a collapsed tunnel. We need to do a little more collapsing over here to make it work. But that doesn't look bad. A lot of little assets thrown in there. All right. I'm going to run and get her. So I'm probably going to have to take about 45 minutes off. And then we'll get back on and we're going to finish building out the rest of the day. So hopefully see everybody when we get back on. Wednesday, I'm going to take the day off Twitch because, you know, all the bullshit that's kind of going on there. I'll probably stream to YouTube unless I decide to say fuck it and go play golf. I'll see what I decide to do, though. But we'll be back on 45 minutes to an hour, and we'll finish working on this level. So, everybody, take it easy. We'll see you when we get back.